Hey guys, Moonman TCG team here, and I wanted to use this opportunity to show you guys what I think is not one of only the best decks in the game, but one of the more fun decks in the game. I think you should definitely check it out. It's really, really fun, and let's just get right into it. Okay, so the deck I really want to talk about today is Don Quixote Doflamingo. It is a mono blue leader that says when he attacks, if you have 2 Dawn attached to him, you can pay 1. If you pay 1, you may reveal the top card of your deck. When you reveal the top card of your deck, if it is a 4-cost character card that has 7 Warlords in the character trait, you may play that card in Rest. What that means is all of these cards that can be normally had to pay for 4, now you only need to pay 1 just for attacking the entire game. Very, very strong effect, extremely powerful, and can pretty much incrementally outvalue your opponent because you're playing cards for free to they're not playing cards for free. And eventually that's just how you win. Again, it's very important to note that Doflamingo only plays 7 Warlord cards. So obviously you're going to see it's a theme here where the majority of the deck is 7 Warlords. However, this card says on play, it's Perona. You run 4 of it, and on play, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, rearrange them in any order, and you can leave those cards on top of your deck, or you can put them to the bottom of your deck as long as they're all together. Perona herself is not a 7 Warlords card, so you cannot play this card off of your leader's effect. However, she is extremely powerful because you can look at the top 5 cards of your deck. That way you can rearrange them to suit your needs to draw them or to put them to the top of your deck to play them for 1 off of your leader's effect. She is the ideal turn 1 play because of that effect. The next card that we also run for is 1-drop Trafficker Law. It is a blocker that costs 1 and it's for 1000 power. Not much to say about it compared to the other blockers. However, Law is very unique for this deck because it is a 7 Warlords card. So you can play this card off of your leader's effect and have it on the board if you really need to. The next card isn't a 7 Warlords card. However, I still think it has value because it is Alvida. We run it at 3. Again, not 7 Warlords, but she has 2k counter. That's kind of her entire purpose. Her ability is when she has 1 Dawn attached to her and she attacks, you can discard a card and you can return one of your opponent's characters' cost 3 or less to their hand. Again, I've never played this card, but I can see it being used for that. It's just there for the 2k counter, for early defense, and for your character cards that you're playing, and late game can really save you. The next card is another Doflamingo. However, unlike the leader, it's a character card that has blocker. It costs 3 and it's 4000 power. But not only does this card have blocker, it's extremely powerful because when it's played, you can look at the top 5 cards of your deck and rearrange them in any way you want, leave them on top, or put them all at the bottom, just like Perona. So, what's really strong about this card too is that it's a 7 Warlords card that can be played off of your leader effect. So, rearranging the top cards of your deck is really powerful. Again, you can draw the card you need, and you can rearrange them to play off your leader. It's just a very strong effect. Here's our first 4-cost character. This is Marshall D. Teach. He is a 7 Warlords card that says, when he is played, you may return a character card that costs 3 or less to the owner's hand. Not opponents, owners. So you can return your own cards if you really want to. Again, because it's a 7 Warlords card, you can play this off of your leader, and you can return their opponent's blockers, their tempo plays, everything like that, and get the advantage back into your side. It is also 4000k power, which means it does need a Dawn attachment to swing into leaders, but that's okay. Now, Gekko Moria. Our first Gekko Moria is a 4-cost 5k character card that says, when you play this card, you can add a 7 Warlords or Thriller Barks character card with 4 or less other than Gekko Moria back to your hand. Now this is extremely powerful because you can get cards back that are 7 Warlords from your hand, including Trafficker Law, your teaches, but more importantly, the next card we also run it for is Dracula Mihawk. Mihawk is a 4-cost 5000k power character card that has Dawn ×1. When attacking, you draw 2 and discard 2. However, he also has 2k counter, which is really important because since he is 2k, you can use this card to block an attack. Then, when you play your Gekko Moria, you can get back the Mihawk, so you can have extra defense. It's one of the best plays this deck has, if not best play, because you are very defensive, protect your cards that can come back and swing a bunch of times, and you're just getting incremental value. This deck is about incremental value. The next card, our second to last 4-cost character, is Boa Hancock. Again, Boa Hancock is a 7 Warlord, just like all these other cards that we talked about. She is a 5k character card that is a blocker. Already really strong. However, she has a really powerful effect that is when a Dawn is attached to her as she attacks, you can draw a card. And this also happens when she's blocking. So, very early, this card can be played off your leader effect, and it can continuously give you advantage as you're drawing more and more cards. And if you block with her, if you play their hand, you can immediately block with her and draw a card. She's the best way to get a lot of advantage. Now, our last 4-cost character is another Gekko Moria. So again, he's a 7 Warlords card that's 5k. What he says is during your turn, if you have 5 or more cards in your hand, he gains double attack. And what double attack means is when you hit your opponent's leader, instead of them taking 1 life, they take 2 life, which is incredibly important in a lot of matchups. You can out-tempo your opponent, and you can continuously hit them for 2 if they can't answer this card. This card is also really good because your opponent has to answer it. It's just a very strong tempo card. And again, what's really important about the last couple of cards is they all have 5000k power, so that means they don't need to attach a Dawn to hit a leader, which is really good. Now, our next card is 9-drop Dracula Mihawk. Now, he costs 9, but he's a 9000k attack, or 9000k body, that does not have a counter, but what he says is when you play this card, you may take 1 character card with a cost 7 or less and put it to the bottom of the deck. He's really, really good to take one of your opponent's cards and remove it from the game. Also, what's really important about this card is that there's currently no card in the game that can get rid of him based on an effect except for the 10-drop Kaido. So he's most likely going to stay on your board for the entire game, which is really, really strong. He gets the tempo back into your favor, and he can really clear board states. He's probably the strongest, second strongest card, third strongest card. There's a lot of powerful cards in this deck, but he really takes the cake. The next card is Love Beam. This is our first extra card, and what this card says is cost 2, and it's a counter card. What it says is your leader or one of your characters gain 4,000, and if you have 3 or less cards in your hand, you draw a card. So this is really powerful because you're drawing cards while getting that defense. It's one of your strongest defensive options Blue has, and we run 4 of it because it's really, really good. The next is 4 Desert Spada. Now, Desert Spada says it's an event card that costs 1 counter. When your opponent, when you use it, you give a leader or character 2,000 power, and you may look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Now, this is incredibly powerful because you can rearrange those cards to stack them on top of your deck for your leader's effect, just like the other Doflamingo and Perona. Except it's only 3 cards, so it's a little bit wonkier, but after you run out of that stack, this card's really great to go back into your deck and find out what card you want to play. Its other ability is a trigger effect. If it's hit off life, you can draw 2, discard 1. Again, you +1 off of it. There's no better way to hit a trigger than this, in my opinion, for this deck. It's so good. Now, the next extra card is Overheat. Again, it costs 2, but it has counter. And you give one of your leaders 4,000 power. Then you choose a 3 or lower active character and return it to the owner's hand. A couple of things that's really important is also has a trigger effect, and it bounces a character cost 4 or less to the opponent's hand. I'm pretty sure. But Again, this is really important because it blocks your leader and it also bounds your opponent's characters, gaining you back that tempo. It's very defensive, a very strong card. Now our last card is another event, and it costs 3, and we only run 2 of it, again, like Overheat. But what it does is counter if your leader is a 7 Warlords, which of course it is, you return a character cost of 5 or less to your opponent's hand. Again, it doesn't have a trigger, but that doesn't matter. This card is incredibly powerful because if they have your opponent attach all of their Dawn to one card, you can use this and they return the card back to their hand. Incredibly powerful and very defensive option. So that's the deck, and I really like to take this time to go over a couple of things, like the best turn 1 play this deck can possibly have. Looking at this game, I'm looking at my opponent and he's playing Kid. I draw an opening hand of having the Gekko Moria and the Law, but that's not that good. So I redraw and I open a Perona. Perona is incredibly powerful here because she is the ideal turn 1 play. Being able to play her ensures that I can look at top 5 cards in my deck and rearrange them any way I want. I apologize in advance for the double browser. I was trying to mess around with the editing and it just didn't work out. So, continuously looking at this game, I redrew for this. My opponent, again, turn 1 really didn't do anything. And then I take my turn, eventually. So then I draw a turn, and I play my 2 Dawn. Again, I'm the second, I'm turn 2 player. And for 1, I play Perona. I look at the top 5 cards in my deck because of Perona's effect. Now I'm able to understand what cards I want on top or bottom. Now I look, this is probably not the best top 5 cards in my deck, but now I know I can stack the Alvida to the top of the deck because I'm going to draw that next, and I can put the Don Quixote Doflamingo after that so that I can guarantee to play a 7 Warlords off the top of my deck. After that, I know I'll draw the Espada so I can rearrange the next couple cards if I really need to. And then I play a Law, which guarantees me being able to keep up my tempo, be defensive, and pretty much play the game to my pace. So as the game progresses, my opponent plays this Kid. Since they're playing this Kid, it comes back to my turn, and I swing with my leader. I use my leader's effect, and I play the other Doflamingo that I knew was on top of my deck. Doing that, I get to look at the top 5 again. Looking at top 5 again, I see another Gekko Moria, the 5-drop that brings a card back. And I'm like, this is the best card I can grab. So I put that immediately to 2nd place. So why would I put the 2nd card on top is a really good point. Is because I know I'm going to draw the Espada first, and then I'll be able to play the Gekko Moria. After that, I essentially end my turn because there's nothing really else I can do here. But I set up a turn where he has to do something, otherwise I'm going to have a huge advantage. Oh, after I hit with my 7k. And again, having that incremental value means I'm going to be attacking his battle cards and essentially being able to keep up the tempo. Off his life, he hits an extra card that KOs my Doflamingo, but that's okay. We didn't really need him. We just really wanted to manipulate the top 5 again. So, when it goes back to his turn, he gets his Dawn ready, and he's going to play a bunch of battle cards here, which is really smart on his part. It means that I have to answer that board, or the turn after, I'm going to get hit like a dump truck, and get really hurt moving forward and lose tempo. So he attacks my leader. I was debating between the Doflamingo and the Alvida, the Alvida. Do I want to save for the Doflamingo? But of course, I'm going to use this Doflamingo to counter out. And then he continues to play another battle card instead of swinging with his Kid. He knows I'm going to block with it, so I can understand keeping it. You can kind of see my face as I look in disbelief. I couldn't believe that he didn't swing with his Kid. Now you would think, if I don't have an answer for this, I'm going to be in a really bad position. However, it goes back to my turn. And what's really interesting about my turn is what happens because I'm able to filter the top 15 to 10 cards of my deck. Not all in this turn, but throughout the game. So again, I have 2 Dawn attached to my leader. I activate his effect. I know Gekko Moria is off the top of my deck. I'm able to play the Gekko Moria down, and I'm able to grab back my Doflamingo. I could have also blocked with my Law and able to get that back from the top of my deck. However, I felt like it was best to not have to do that, because that way I can play another Doflamingo and rearrange the top cards of my deck again. And see what more cards I can dig for and try to manipulate off the top of my deck. So what's really important here is, when I play this Doflamingo, I look at the top 5 cards again. When I look at the top 5 cards, I notice that there is a Mihawk. The 9-drop Mihawk is incredibly powerful, and I'm trying to decide if I really want to draw that card or not. I immediately put the Gekko Moria in the second spot, because that's the card I'm going to play off of my leader's effect. I'm going to draw for turn, and then I play off my leader. Then the question is, do I have the ability to get the Mihawk and add to my hand earlier, or should I wait on the curve? I decided it's better to wait on the curve and know that my Mihawk is there and will be there when I have that 9 energy in the next 2 turns, versus having it immediately and not providing counter combo. So as the game progresses, I'm not going to show the entire game because this video would probably be a lot longer if I did. However, I just wanted to point out a couple of key plays, and this might be the last one, because I really just want to show how I incrementally dwindled down his hand, and now he had those 3 battle cards, but he has no hand size. So what's really important here is I'm going to probably be able to wipe out his entire board, and at that point, win the game from there, because it's impossible for my opponent to come back. So as he passes his turn, it goes to my turn, and I untap and set my Dawn up and my Gekko Moria. I heavily defended my Gekko Moria that last turn to ensure that I can have another swing back into his characters. So I start by swinging my 5k into his 3k. I do this because I know he has 1 card in his hand, and if that card is a 2k counter, he has no way to block this attack. So he lets it go, and it's gone. I use my leader to swing into the other battle card. What's really important here is I don't use my leader's effect, because I plan on using Mihawk. I quickly realized I forgot to add the Dawn, and then I add the Dawn, and my opponent was totally okay with it. So I go 6k into, again, a 4k, knowing that he can't block this unless he has a 2k counter. Then I'm able to play my Mihawk that I've been holding on this entire time, and I can bottom deck his last card. As the game resolves, my Mihawk puts in all the work, and it's really hard for my opponent to come back. Now, I hope you guys got something out of that. Maybe it's a new idea for the deck. Maybe it's some tip and trick. If there's something you think I left out, or something that you think is really important to bring up, please leave a comment. I would love to hear from you guys. So please subscribe and like the video. Again, if you want to see more One Piece from us, Movement TCG, and all of that, please subscribe to the channel. Look at our Twitches, and we have a lot of cool stuff coming up for you guys. So stay tuned for that. Thank you. Have a good day.
Today's video was sponsored by Top Deck TCG. This is an awesome website where not only can you buy singles for some of your favorite trading card games, but it acts as a hub for various content creators so you can stay up to date in those games. This is their homepage. As you can see, they currently carry Flesh and Blood, Digimon, Transformers, and Star Wars Destiny. They are going to be carrying One Piece in the winter when its official American release comes out. If you go over to Game Videos and Podcasts, you can see some of your favorite content creators, including your favorite One Piece content creators, for all of these various games so that you can stay up to date on what is good right now. It's all very easy to use, and the guy is great. And if you use your promo code TheMoonmen, not case sensitive at all, you'll get 10% off any order you place. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you found this video helpful. I certainly hope you did. You can find links to my Twitch and my Patreon in the description, as well as the promo code and the links to Top Deck TCG. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.